Today I'm going to show you how to clean a carburetor on this Predator engine. It's a 708 cc vertical twin engine. This Predator engine was put on this Craftsman rider as an engine swap. It replaced a Kohler engine that blew. The last time this engine was worked on was back in 2016. The gentleman that had this mower paid the sales tech to come out and install it. They got the engine installed, but they couldn't get the electrical to work. What we have over here, I tried starting it, not knowing what may be in the gas tank on this rider. I hooked up this gas tank to eliminate any possibility of fuel contamination. What I also did, I ran some carburetor cleaner through the hose, disconnected the hose, blew it out up to here, cleaned out this pump the best I could. Fuel did come out on this side, but I couldn't get anything through the gas line into the carburetor. I even removed the plug down here, and I sprayed some carb cleaner in there, and a brownish substance came out. I don't know if it was fuel that had additive into it, but it was the same brown substance that was in the gas line. So I'm just hoping that it wasn't rust and that I don't have to replace this carburetor. Let's get started. First thing, to removing the carburetor, you have to remove the cowling to make it a little easier. You have these bolts that require a 10mm wrench. You don't have to remove them. You just have to back them out to where they pass the plastic lip. Then we have the air cleaner cover. I was already in here once spraying gas into the carburetor to see if it would kick over. It did kick over, so that's telling me that we do have spark. There's the air filter. I was just dripping some gas into the air cleaner, and a couple times I even gave us a few squirts with starting fluid. It did kick over, so I know we're not getting gas. Now, the instructions that came with this engine show you how to take the carburetor off by lifting the engine up, putting it on its back, which makes it look really easy. But I'd rather not remove this engine from the frame if I don't have to, because it's all set up already. So I'm going to try getting this carburetor off without pulling the engine up. Once I get situated, I'll be back to show you how I'm going about it. I still have this tractor on my trailer, and what I did to make it easy to work on, I jacked it up, supported it with a jack stand, just so I have a level surface to work on. So far, it doesn't look too complicated. We have 4 nuts holding this carburetor on. We have the choke linkage on this side, the throttle linkage on this side. We'll have to remove the fuel line, and then we have to remove this line here. The pump we don't have to touch. I'm going to remove these bolts. They require a 10mm socket. So let me get that, and I'll show you what the inside of this looks like once I have it off. So far, this was simple enough. After removing those 4 nuts, I disconnected the fuel line. You have to disconnect the electrical line for the anti-kickback solenoid, which comes down here. See if the camera's picking it up. Comes down here, and then I'm just going to pull that through. You have to disconnect the choke and the throttle. Now, I like this setup. This over here is a little lock that locks in the rod. One for the choke and one for the carburetor linkage. This is a nice little setup here. So far, so good. I'll pull this out. And let's see. This looks very clean on the inside. This part, anyway. I'm going to take it over to the table in the shade over here out of the sun. We'll open up this bowl to see what's in here. And then we'll also make sure this anti-kickback solenoid is working. It's not stuck. When I hooked it up with the key, I heard a click. But to get this turning over, we kind of jumped the wires, and the engine would spin when that was turning. So I'm not sure if this was clicking or if it's even opening all the way. So let's go over to the table, open this up, and see what we have. I'm using this little tray to work in. 1, to not to make a mess, and 2, if a piece should fall, it'll fall in this tray. But look how brown the gas is, and you can see the water droplets in here. This was a dry tray. Well, that's it. It leaked out while I was moving it around. Now, I'm trying not to disturb Any of these gaskets. It was the front gasket. The manual says to replace all gaskets. I don't have a kit, so unless I break something, I'm not replacing. Next step now is to take this float bowl off. These screws don't look like they're the best quality that they could be. Make sure when you're using a screwdriver, you get a screwdriver that fits in there correctly. And when you're using a screwdriver, press down firmly on it. You don't want to strip these screws out, then have to drill them out, possibly tap the carburetor if you go too deep. It'll be a mess. You might be better off just buying a new carburetor at that point. So I'm going to take these screws out and see what we look like on the inside. Stay with me. Okay. Be careful you don't slip and stab your hand. You want to put a lot of pressure on this screw. Let's see now. Wow. I don't know if you heard that when it loosened up. You heard that snap. This one. There's two. I'll get these other two and I'll be back. When you remove these screws, you have these little lock washers on there. You don't want to lose them. Now the bowl, let's see if we can focus here. The bowl isn't all that bad. And you can see the plunger for the anti-kickback solenoid. I'm going to hook a battery to this and see if that's going up and down freely. Let's go back to the carburetor itself now. You have your gasket. You can see there's corrosion on it. You don't want to get any carb cleaner on this. These have a tendency to swell up and they won't fit in right. And you can see the crud around the edges over here. I'm going to remove this float, check the pin, and then I'm going to remove these two emulsion tubes and see if they're clogged. All right, let's see how we're going here. This is interesting. Normally these pins just pop right out, but in this one it's actually screwed in. So far what I've seen of this engine, this is the first one I've worked on. I don't see really any negative so far. And from what I've seen online, they seem to hold up pretty well. Okay, this needle looks okay. Alright. So I'm just going to put this in the bowl for now. Put this in here. When you're removing these screws, and this is with any carburetor, you want to make sure you have the right size screwdriver to go in there. Two things. You don't want to strip the emulsion tube, and you don't want to strip the threads on the inside of this carburetor, because you won't be able to get it back in and it'll never work right. So I'm going to pull these out, see what they look like. If we have to, we'll clean them out, and I'm going to spray everything out here, and then we'll go back to check the anti-kickback solenoid. This anti-kickback solenoid works, and for video clarity I wanted to remove it to show you how it works outside of the carburetor bowl. But this isn't so tight. I put all my weight on it. It didn't budge. I didn't want to force this because I don't know if it's going to strip those threads. I'm just glad that it is working. So I'm going to show you how it works. I have this 12-volt battery jumper that I'm going to connect the wires. Where am I? I'm going to connect the wires to the end terminal, and you'll be able to watch this little piston go up and down. Okay, let's see. I hope the camera could pick that up, because there's no way I'm getting that off without doing some damage. Okay, here we go. See it go down, then it comes up. When it has power, it goes down. No power, it comes back up. So when the engine's running and power's going to that solenoid, the electric magnet pulls that pin down. When you turn the switch off, there isn't any more power going to the solenoid, and it closes up. That's to keep the gas from flowing in as the engine's winding down, keep you from getting that kickback. So we know this is okay. While I had this apart, I pulled out the emulsion tubes, and these are clean as could be. I don't know what the problem is. I'm going to spray it all out anyway. I'm going to spray carburetor cleaner into here, carburetor cleanup into these ports. These are clean. Normally you'll find these caked up, and to clean these out they have different kits you could buy. I generally use a bread tie, although on this one down here, this might be smaller than a bread tie. I'm going to clean all this up, spray it out, get it all back together. If I find anything out of the usual, I'll show you. If not, I'll just be installing it back onto the engine. Here's a tip. When you're cleaning this bowl out, there's a gasket in there. This is it. Pull this gasket out before you start spraying carburetor cleaner in there. I was filling this up with carburetor cleaner and I forgot to pull this out. I think I may have gotten it out in time. Just a little tip. For a mistake like this, it could set you back a couple of days waiting for another gasket to come in. I didn't find any visual blockage, but evidently there was something in there that kept that carburetor from working. Most of the time you could clean them out with those simple tools and some carburetor cleaner, but there are times you may have to use an ultrasonic cleaner to get to the trouble spot, and that's a wrap. If you have any questions or comments, post them down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, it does help. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Hit that Josie button. And until next time, stay safe.